As a family residing in Northeast Ohio, our Christmas tradition involved embarking on a road trip to Central Florida, where most of our extended family on my father's side lived. The journey was filled with excitement, crammed into a red minivan loaded with clothes, toys, and anticipation for the holiday festivities. The trip down to Florida unfolded without any noteworthy incidents until we found ourselves in a different state, well into our return journey. It was then that we realized our gas was depleting at an alarming rate. Forced to stop multiple times for refueling, my dad eventually decided to seek help at a mechanic's shop. However, unexpected car troubles meant spending the night in the minivan, surrounded by the cacophony of tools and the less-than-pleasant aroma of a mechanic's garage. Money, or the lack thereof, became a pressing issue. The van had been generously filled with new toys and outfits from our Christmas celebration, leaving us with little budget for unexpected repairs. Despite the hiccups, we hit the road again, making our way to the Smoky Mountains. Christmas memories with our grandparents were enchanting, but the return journey became a test of resilience. Unbeknownst to us, a dime-sized hole in the gas tank posed a grave danger. The van's brakes failed, and soon, flames engulfed the vehicle. Amid the chaos, my brother Chase, usually reserved, shocked us all by shouting, "Fire!" Panic set in as my dad desperately tried to navigate the van to safety. The flames intensified, and my mom, realizing the severity of the situation, uttered the chilling words, "Kevin, we're on fire." With no brakes and a van rapidly becoming an inferno, my mom made a split-second decision that defies belief even today. She opened her door and leaped out, running alongside the blazing vehicle. The sliding door, too, succumbed to the heat, falling off with a resounding crack. In the midst of chaos, my mom reached through the flames to grab my youngest brother, Chase, pulling him to safety. Meanwhile, my dad, a hero in his own right, braved the fire to rescue my other two brothers. The van exploded, but my dad managed to protect my siblings, holding onto them as they tumbled into the snow. As my mom and I descended the mountain, she shielded us from the explosion's shockwave. A kind stranger offered us warmth in her car, allowing us a momentary respite from the frigid surroundings. Fire trucks and ambulances soon arrived, bringing with them a semblance of order to the chaotic scene. In the hospital, we were examined and treated for various injuries. Miraculously, none of us suffered severe harm. My dad, devoid of arm hair and eyebrows, had battled the flames to save us. My mom, despite the loss of her hair, was unscathed. My brothers and I, though shaken, emerged with minimal injuries. The cause of the fire? A dime-sized hole in the gas tank, overlooked by the mechanics. 30 years later, the vivid memories of that harrowing experience linger. The fear of red minivans persists, a tangible reminder of the day our family stared into the abyss and emerged stronger than ever. Through fire and danger, our parents exhibited a love and bravery that defined the true essence of family. A few years ago, my brother and I embarked on a journey to a small rural town, about a 2-hour drive from our home in New Orleans. The purpose of our trip? To adopt a dog from a foster mom in that quaint little hamlet. The drive was uneventful, and we chatted excitedly about the newest addition to our family as we neared the town of Clinton. However, as we approached, something felt off. I started noticing an unusual number of police cars patrolling the streets, no sirens blaring, no urgency in their movements, just a surreal abundance of patrol cars. In the span of about 10 minutes, we must have passed 15 to 20 police vehicles. It was an odd sight, but we shrugged it off, attributing it to some small-town peculiarities. We reached the foster mom's house, and there she was, the sweetest dog in the world. Decision made, we loaded up the furry friend and headed back home. About 2 hours into our return journey, everything seemed fine. The dog, whom we named Tally, curled up in the front seat beside me, leaving my brother to sit in the back, a comical scene that kept us amused. However, as we left Clinton and ventured a few miles down the road, the atmosphere shifted. The number of police cars only seemed to multiply, still cruising around with an air of mysterious calm. It was then that I noticed an old white sedan speeding up from behind, flashing its lights and honking persistently. Concerned that someone might be in distress, I began pulling over to the shoulder of the road. The white sedan mirrored our movements, coming to a stop about 10 to 15 yards behind us. In that moment, an inexplicable sense of unease washed over me. I turned around to glance at my brother, and as our eyes met, a chill ran down my spine. A voice in my head screamed at me to get out of there. Hesitating only briefly, I slammed my foot on the accelerator, leaving the white sedan in the dust. As we sped toward the exit, I kept a watchful eye on the rearview mirror, half expecting the mysterious car to tail us. Upon our safe return to New Orleans, relief washed over us, but a lingering sense of uncertainty remained. What had prompted the swarm of police cars in Clinton? Why was that white sedan so insistent on us stopping? The possibilities spun through my mind, and my brother shared my uneasy suspicions. Was it a raid, a manhunt, or something more sinister? Perhaps the white sedan harbored ill intentions, attempting to exploit the chaos for a carjacking. To this day, the details remain shrouded in mystery, and I find myself grappling with the decision to pull over that day. Was it an innocent plea for help I abandoned, or did I narrowly escape a potentially dangerous encounter? The unanswered questions linger, a haunting reminder of that surreal drive through the enigmatic town of Clinton. In the stillness of the night, I trudged wearily through the dimly lit corridors of the factory, the rhythmic hum of machinery echoing through the deserted halls. It was only my second week on the swing shift, the hours stretching from 4 p.m. to 2 a.m., and already a chilling discomfort had settled in the pit of my stomach. Being a trans guy in a conservative town was challenging enough, but the factory environment seemed to magnify the unease. I had made the decision to use my preferred name, but hesitated to correct anyone on the incessant she and her references, fearing that drawing attention to my identity would only exacerbate my sense of not belonging. The culmination of my apprehensions manifested on a desolate stretch of road during my commute home. As I merged onto the highway, a looming truck aggressively tailgated me, its brights blinding in the rearview mirror. Uneasiness crept over me, my pulse quickening with each passing mile. The truck mirrored my every lane change, a sinister presence persisting until I reached the outskirts of the next city. With a sigh of relief, I thought the ordeal was over, only to find myself pursued once again as I navigated the scenic route home. The second aggressor, much like the first, clung menacingly to my rear bumper, casting a cloak of anxiety over me. Panic set in, realizing I was alone on the road, a vulnerable target in a town where I stood out like a sore thumb. The unnerving pursuit continued for what felt like an eternity, my mind racing with fears of the unknown. Suddenly, the trailing vehicle executed a sharp U-turn, disappearing into the night. I continued my journey, heart pounding, and drove past the police station in a futile attempt to shake off any lingering threat. As I finally reached the sanctuary of my home, the weight of the night's events bore down on me. Sleep eluded me, my mind replayed the harrowing encounter on an endless loop. The next evening, the prospect of returning to work filled me with dread. Desperate for resolution, I reached out to human resources, but my calls went unanswered. The isolation intensified as I realized I didn't have anyone's contact information at work, and the small-town police station remained closed during those late hours. Trapped in a disconcerting limbo, I grappled with the decision to confront the escalating fear or retreat from the job that had become a source of anxiety. The haunting question lingered: how could I ensure my safety in a world that seemed determined to cast me as an outsider? Back in my college days, I embarked on a memorable road trip from Philadelphia to Washington. The journey took me through the vast expanse of the Midwest, a region I had traversed multiple times before. However, the details of this particular adventure elude me. I can't quite pinpoint whether it unfolded on the upper or lower routes I had previously taken. If I had to hazard a guess, I'd lean towards Wyoming, a state that always left an impression on me with its open landscapes and eerie beauty. It was late at night, the road stretching out endlessly before me. My trusty car hummed along smoothly, and I was well equipped with a stash of snacks and water to keep me company. The overcast sky obscured any mountains that might have adorned the horizon, leaving only the glow of my headlights to pierce the darkness. I was in my own world, jamming out to some CDs, reveling in the freedom of the open road. Life was good. Suddenly, an inexplicable feeling crept over me, a sense that something out of the ordinary was unfolding in the shadows around me. The solitude of the road was broken as I spotted another vehicle, the first in hours. It stood out in the darkness, a beat-up pickup truck, rust clinging to its exterior, and a half-busted cabin cover on the truck bed with duct tape patching up the windows. Curiosity mingled with frustration as the truck, moving in front of me, gradually reduced its speed. I contemplated overtaking, but the two-lane road and the late hour dissuaded me from attempting a risky maneuver. As we continued, I realized there were no connecting roads. The truck must have emerged mysteriously from the grassy shoulder, as if materializing out of thin air. The situation took a chilling turn when we approached a stretch of road surrounded by a small forest. The driver ahead of me slowed down even more, almost as if he intended to come to a complete stop. My senses heightened, a knot of unease forming in my stomach. Instinct kicked in, and I made the decision to pass him, accelerating with determination in my trusty Crown Vic. Glancing back in the rearview mirror, I observed the rusty truck pulling off to the side, its occupants seemingly disinterested in pursuing further. My relief was short-lived as I noticed a large van or truck, one of those boxy types, concealed in the trees off the road. Shadows danced around it, and my heart raced as I glimpsed figures moving in front of the vehicle. Fear and adrenaline fueled my escape, and I pushed my Crown Vic to its limits, leaving the eerie scene behind. The unanswered questions lingered in my mind. What were they up to? Why did that pickup truck appear out of nowhere? The mysterious forest encounter became a tale etched in the annals of my road trip adventures, a chilling reminder that sometimes it's best to trust those instincts that tell you to keep moving. On a sunny afternoon during our road trip from New Jersey to North Carolina, my friend and I found ourselves in a peculiar town in Maryland. The name of the town escapes me now, but the strange vibes we encountered there remain etched in my memory. As we turned onto the main road, an eerie stillness enveloped the town. Despite the middle of the day, there was an odd absence of people strolling the sidewalks or going about their business. It was as if the entire population had vanished, leaving behind only the quiet hum of the wind. Our stomachs growled in protest, prompting us to seek out a place to grab a bite. To our surprise, the dining options were limited, with only a solitary pizza place catching our eye. We parked the car in front of it, hoping to satiate our hunger. However, the moment we stepped out of the car, a peculiar sensation settled over us. It was as though the entire town had collectively decided to converge on this pizza joint. The windows of the restaurant were adorned with curious faces, all turned toward us in unison. It was an unnerving sight, a synchronized gaze that sent shivers down our spines. Undeterred, we decided to give it a shot and entered the pizza place. The door creaked open, and the atmosphere inside was thick with an unspoken tension. The patrons, as if choreographed, turned their heads simultaneously to fixate on us. It was a bizarre moment frozen in time, where our entrance seemed to interrupt the town's collective gaze. A chill ran down my spine, and an inexplicable discomfort settled in the air. Without exchanging a word, my friend and I locked eyes, both wide with a shared sense of unease. Something felt off, the intensity of the stares, the palpable silence, and the unspoken tension in the room. Unable to shake off the eerie feeling, I uttered, "I don't want to go in there." My friend, nodding in agreement, seemed just as perturbed. Without a second thought, we retraced our steps, leaving the strange pizza place behind. As we drove to another town for lunch, I couldn't help but wonder about the peculiar encounter. Why was the entire town seemingly gathered in that pizza joint? What was with the penetrating stares that felt like they bore into our very souls? A part of me was curious to unravel the mystery, but a larger part was relieved that we had chosen to trust our instincts and venture elsewhere. Sometimes, it's the unanswered questions that linger in the mind, and in this instance, the enigmatic pizza place in that mysterious Maryland town will forever remain a puzzling chapter of our road trip adventure. Alone in the darkened woods, the memories of that fateful night still haunt me. It all started innocently enough, a Star Wars movie night with my best friend and her adorable brother. We were a trio of enthusiastic fans, dressed up in tasteful adult renditions of our favorite characters. Merle rocked a dignified Han Solo, my bestie sported a Jedi look, and I did my best Rey, nailing every detail down to the last strand of hair. The movie was a blast, one of the first or second nights of showing, and the theater was packed. We emerged, giddy and full of joy, just before the midnight hour struck. I carpooled back to my friend's apartment, where I left my car to make the 20-minute journey to my own place. As the clock ticked past midnight, my headlights cut through the darkness. I was mere minutes from my friend's house when, out of nowhere, a white blob collided with my windshield. It happened in the blink of an eye, the impact so forceful that the substance splattered across the glass, obscuring my vision completely. To add to the eerie atmosphere, the streetlights in that particular section decided to flicker off, leaving me with only the harsh glow from a nearby gas station. Shaken and disoriented, I couldn't see clearly, but fear prevented me from stopping. I couldn't turn around, and the only option I saw was to crawl forward slowly. With no real visibility, I used the cement median as a makeshift guide, peering through my driver's window. After what felt like an eternity, the windshield wipers, running continuously, began to clear the mysterious substance. A minute or two later, I found myself at a red stoplight. That's when I texted my bestie, explaining the bizarre incident and the impact it had on my ability to see. Without hesitation, she offered to send her brother to my aid. The white stuff on my windshield had cleared up significantly, and I felt confident enough to drive home. But the whole ordeal had left me uneasy. The next morning, I confided in my mom, who was rightfully alarmed. She scolded me for not calling the police immediately, revealing that such incidents were part of a disturbing trend linked to gang initiations. Apparently, using windshield washer fluid to clean the mysterious substance off could exacerbate the situation, making it a potentially dangerous encounter. Regret and anxiety flooded me as I mulled over the possibilities of what could have been. I finally called the police to file a report, providing them with the details of the incident and the approximate time it occurred. However, I never heard from them again, leaving me with a sense of unease and a lesson learned the hard way. In the weeks that followed, spots from the mysterious white substance took their time washing off my windshield. My mom's stern advice echoed in my mind, always call the police when something strange happens. It was a lesson etched into my memory, a reminder to be vigilant in the face of the unexpected, and to trust that law enforcement could bring clarity to the shadows that lurk in the dark.